Good evening, one and all, and welcome to the Toon review for tonight's, Newcastle United news show. I'm joined tonight by, of course, Billy Bob, who looks like he's sitting on the floor. And we also have Lady Sam back with us after her joint to Canada. So welcome back to Lady Sam, and we'll get her thoughts on Saturday's game very, very shortly. But as usual, if you do enjoy tonight's show, guys, don't forget to give us some love and hit that thumbs up button. And if you're new to the channel, of course, please subscribe. It is free to do so. Hit that bell, which will let you know when we schedule any live shows or we upload any recordings. And as usual, you can become a member of the Toon Review by hitting the $sign at the bottom of the live comments. And as usual, you can donate to the show by hitting... I've just said that, haven't I? I've got muddled up there. The join button is underneath the three of us, and it's the $sign at the bottom of the live comments to donate to the channel, which will guarantee your comments to be read out on the show. Jesus
Call
Christ.
yourself a professional.
Sam, it's the heat. What can I say? It's the absolute heat. It's to say I'm burnt. I burned badly yesterday, Sam, and today is obviously no different, as my arms are a little bit red raw. They will go brown because I tan quite easily, but I didn't think it was worth putting any suntan lotion on yesterday in the garden. And, I sat there with the hose pipe washing down the hot tub and spraying the kids with water and didn't think of myself. So
thought you were going to say you were doing that to yourself there. I was like, what do you think you're Chippendale like? Well,
actually, I did joke with Susan that I was going to just reincarnate the old Diet Coke advert there. I was going to start playing the... Anyway, speaking of music, I'd just like to say, the nursery rhyme, Old Trafford is falling down, falling down, falling down. My God, how embarrassing is that? And what I am worried about, guys, is the fact that I've seen photos of Keir Starmer with, of course, Sir Jim Ratcliffe inside Old Trafford, who Starmer's apparently said to Ratcliffe, if he becomes in power, then they will look at the Manchester United project or the Old Trafford project with taxpayers' money. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not prepared to build Old Trafford. I don't know how you guys feel on that.
I don't know where they're getting this from. Jim Ratcliffe's a well-known tax exile, so I don't think any political leader worth their salt would be saying that to him. I think it's nonsense, to be honest.
This is Keir Starmer, though, isn't it? You just never know. But
no, I quite like Keir Starmer. I think he's going to be a good leader for the country.
Well, I know you're a Labour Party guy, so that's understandable. I just don't like the thought of it, Sam.
Yeah, I think for me, paying tax through the blooming nose to help build Man U Stadium, absolutely not. I would be very, very surprised if there was any truth in it, because ultimately anything that'll flip-flop a vote, and especially football fans, people just won't chuck them the vote. I'd rather you get elected, frankly, Paul.
Oh, well, there's a thought, isn't it? James Welsh, who's been a member for 20 months, says, evening, lads and lady, if tossing, and I think he means tossing, and Kelly came in, tossing is a very different thing, and Kelly came in, who would you want to see more, and do you think Eddie will still use them when Botman's back? Well, yes, I think he'll use them because we need squad depth. And if anything, that shouts out that he's trying to improve the squad 100%. But anyway, Sam, you arrived back in Blighty and suddenly gained a ticket to the match, and you were there on Saturday.
That was, yeah. I'd literally touched down in the UK from Toronto, missed my connection in a Home Alone style run to the gate closed in the face, ended up getting a train ticket to Newcastle, bumped up to first class, met a lovely guy on the train, my new pal, my train friend, and he was like, fancy coming to the game? Absolutely. Had a marvellous afternoon. It was great, although the lackluster performance wasn't the ideal end to my trip that I wanted to
Sam, we are taught from a very young age about strangers. And,
He wasn't offering sweets, though. It was a Toon ticket, the hard to get.
Well, I mean that I cannot deny that. I cannot deny that. But for any youngsters watching, do not talk to strangers. especially if they offer. I mean, that might be the new way, offering football tickets. But the fact is, you got a ticket. You were there. But like you say, it was not the performance I think anybody was wanting or was thinking that might happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I saw, it just seemed like the heart wasn't in it. It was actually difficult for me to sort of look and say who's actually given an all-out performance here. For me, it was definitely Hall and Anderson. I could really see them shining in the match, and it was really fantastic to see them getting in there and getting stuck in. I think what was really telling for me was Bruno's reaction to the mistakes on the pitch. Seeing that they had so much space, Brighton, that they were just passing effortlessly, and it was really it was frustrating to watch because we couldn't seem to close them down. And then I think the image at the end of the match when Bruno was actually on the ground, just head down, like between his knees, and I was just like, wow, like that for me is the type of result that would make me think, is it going through his mind? Am I doing the right thing staying in Newcastle?
Well, that's been brought up a lot. Obviously, social media was mental yesterday, and me and Billy touched on it in the review show last night. That just some people will instantly put 2 and 2 together and get 6. It's understandable to think that he's sitting there, last home game of the season. He's devastated that we haven't won, but then you see photos later on when he's with Anna and his kids walking around the pitch. He's smiling, he's happy as Larry. Billy mentioned that Anna, his partner, was in a Newcastle top from 94, 95, Billy?
93, the 93 away blue and A6 blue, yeah.
You don't get that kind of memorabilia for your family, and when you're just going to up and leave. I genuinely believe everyone will be here next season, and some newcomers. I said that on the video earlier on today as well, because now the latest story is, Billy, of course, Anthony Gordon to Liverpool for 100 million. You know what really pissed me off today was the report that I commented on during the show was that Arsenal fans are going to be really upset because Isak will no longer leave for Arsenal if this move to Liverpool goes through for Anthony Gordon. I was staggered.
Yeah, it's the media, whether it be the newspaper media or television media or whatever, they're kind of aligned with this FA Premier League cartel of clubs where anyone below them is literally there to be cherry-picked by the so-called Big Six. And it's scandalous, really, that no one's allowed to get into it because the clubs have made that impossible through the FFP PSR rules. And the media are online with that also. It's all part of the same kind of, it's cherry-picking the great players from clubs that shouldn't really be in that Big Six, according to them. It's an absolute disgrace that it's been allowed to go on. It's an absolute disgrace that someone high up in government or whatever hasn't kind of noticed this happening, and it should be stopped straight away. And we can ignore it because we know it's nonsense because we've got the richest owners in world football. We have no need to kind of sell these players. PSR, we could take a 5-point, 12-point deduction if we need to, rather than sell them. 100% we will. No way on God's earth, unless they want to leave because we haven't qualified for Europe, which is another issue, I guess.
Yeah, listen. There is no way Gordon is leaving this summer, right? No. I would willingly chop my gentleman's sausage off if that came true. So it will not happen. Doug from the Dugout Football Channel, of course, big friend of the channel is Doug. Love to the missus and your little baby Doug. Member for 26 months as well on this channel, which is a fantastic thing considering he's a Liverpool fan. Incredible. Thank you, Doug. Good evening, all. Good luck at the theatre of streams tomorrow. Old Trafford definitely needs a bit of TLC. Bloody leaky roofs. I mean, that was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal what we saw yesterday with that rainstorm. It was just one of those crazy things. I mean, Sam, I don't know how much you've seen of it, but there was literally rivers, waterfalls coming down from the roof, and rivers running through the stands. It was just the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
Well, I thought it was the most hilarious thing that I've ever seen.
Well, that as well, of course, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I feel sorry for them. Diddums. Like, let them get out the checkbook. But you know what? They're obviously not as flush as they say, because, we could get someone on that, get it sorted straight away, or pay to get, Cashworth out of his garden polishing his gnome again. But we still haven't seen the fruit of that labour either. So, yeah, at times hard at Man U. I feel sorry for you.
I mean, you don't have to mention Alex in that. I'm sure he'll, have his say on it when he comes back. Ratchet, hello to you. Haven't seen you for a while, but he says, I have to tell you this. It's been a while that I have posted anything. My work timings don't allow me to attend any show live, but I haven't missed a single show. Thank you, Ratchet. Nick Thornton, who's been a member for 13 months, says someone needs to remind these clubs and the media that Ashley is gone and we aim to take over. Exactly. In the words of Amanda Staveley, we are going to win everything. So put that up your backsides and light fireworks, please. Simple as that. Fubar says Kira's just a typical politician trying to buy votes. He probably met up with the city hierarchy and said he would never give Man United any fun if he got into power. # flip-flop. Well, to be honest, I mean, I don't mind Keir Starmer either, but we're not a politics channel. Otherwise, it'll be like bloody Newsnight on here. It'd be crazy. Maybe we should do one of those shows. Maybe we should have I was thinking about this today, actually, a sort of second Toon Review channel just for sort of news, not football, just news, and talk about the news. I could be like a news presenter, and Sam could sit there like the new Kate, what's her face?
AD.
I don't like
not Kate AD, Billy, the other one, the more recent one, Kate AD. Wow.
Kate Silverton.
That's her, yes.
Or not. Or we could just do this.
Well, you don't have to come on, Sam. It's entirely up to you. I am going to start another channel eventually, but so we'll see what happens with that. Christopher says there's no way taxpayers' money is going to buy Man United a new stadium and help out the Glazers and Ratcliffe. We're not going to talk about politics anymore. It was my fault because I brought it up. FX Pro says, what's your take on the controversy Spurs fans wanting Spurs to lose a game to stop Arsenal winning the league? And Ange saying whoever says that is an idiot. Ange clearly don't understand fan rivalry. Right. Well, listen, from my point of view, if this was Newcastle's and Newcastle were playing and they were playing Sunderland's competitors at the top of the league in a very similar thing, I would not want Newcastle to lose. I'm sorry, but as a Newcastle fan, I couldn't give a chuff if Sunderland went on to win the league as long as my team won. I would not, as a Newcastle United fan, want us to lose a game of football. I think it's ludicrous. And any of those Spurs fans that are wanting their team to get beat off Manchester City, I'm sorry, you're not proper fans. You're not proper fans of your football club. If you want them to lose, shame on you. Right? Because I'm telling you now, as a Newcastle fan, I wouldn't give a toss if Sunderland were going to win the league or not. If I was watching my club and we were still battling for a European place, etc., why on earth would I want Newcastle United to lose a game of football? I think it stinks. Absolutely stinks. Billy, what's your thoughts on it? Because I couldn't ever look at a Newcastle game and think, oh, I'm not really, I hope we'll lose today.
Well, if I'm kind of torn because Spurs have virtually sewn up 5th place.
It doesn't matter, Billy. It doesn't
can't get
matter.
any higher. They can't get lower. Yeah, but for their local rivals to win the league on the back of them doing it,
nah, I'm not sure. I couldn't do it. I couldn't.
I can remember when we went to Anfield in '96 and Liverpool played out the skins to help their arch enemies Man United out. Really,
yeah.
And I was sick, and I knew Liverpool fans that were sick of that. Yeah, at the same time, they still took the piss out of us. But I don't know. I think if you can't go any further in the league higher or drop any lower, then if I was a Spurs fan tomorrow, I'd be wanting Man City to win.
Oh, Billy, shame on you.
And strange as a Newcastle United fan, I want Man City to win.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I don't want Arsenal. The reason I don't want Arsenal to win the league is plain simple, obvious, is because of the way they're still to this day. I mean, did you see that idiot? I mean, Sam, you wouldn't have seen it, but there was a guy who put out a tweet yesterday saying that, or whatever day it was, still going back saying if we hadn't been robbed and cheated out of the points at Newcastle United, we would have won the league. They still don't let it go. It's absolutely pathetic.
Did you?
Yeah, and it's and we seem of not shaking that off, and it's really frustrating. I mean, what I'm particularly annoyed about it today is, I had a rant about it the other week about saying Isak and that red Arsenal kit for so many weeks building up, and today I go on socials and they've just changed it to Bloomin' Gordon going to Liverpool, like another red shirt. I'm just like, oh my goodness, please, like, give me some respite from this. I think, like Billy said earlier, we don't want to get rid of our top players. We're in a really, really fortunate position. I would take the hit on points. In regards to your question, would I want to see my team lose? It's a bit of a difficult one. I don't think you can really, if your team play a flat out performance to win a game, then that's doing the right thing. But actually, if they just happen to lose, which benefited, then it's a strategic move, isn't it?
Listen, I have put a poll up now. Basically, would you want the Toon to lose if it meant Sunderland winning the league? Yes or no? Let's see how many of the viewers tonight. We'll leave that poll up for 20 minutes or so and see how many. There's nearly 1,000 watching. So go and vote. I'm very intrigued to see how many people would want Newcastle to lose if it meant Sunderland winning the league. Because I'm very much in the camp that I would never want my team to lose, even if it meant Sunderland winning the league. I hate Newcastle losing football games, and it's happened to me too much in my lifetime that I'm just sick of losing. I want to see us win every single game, and I don't care about any other football club.
There's absolutely diddly squat chance of Sunderland.
Well, there's no chance of it ever happening, Billy. I agree.
In the Premier League, so I mean, it's easy to say that.
So we're safe.
It's very much a hypothetical question, guys. So don't used to would never have to.
It is a hard one. Like
I can understand Spurs fans. Yeah, I can understand Spurs fans not wanting their side to win. To stop deadly enemies.
I don't care about rivalry, Billy. I would never want the Toon to lose, and that's just my stance on it. But used to clearly aren't proper fans. Anyway, Doug says there is more chance of me becoming an Everton fan than Anthony Gordon joining Liverpool. So there you go. And that's from a Liverpool fan. Peter, good evening. He says, why would he want to go back to Merseyside? He couldn't wait to get out of the area when we got him. Yeah, I don't think he's forgotten being chased down the street by Everton fans. I mean, it's bad enough he's left the club, but then to go to Liverpool a year later, he's got more prospect, a lot more prospect at Newcastle. And to be fair, Sam, Liverpool don't even know who the new manager is going to be. So how the hell do they know that the club wants to buy him?
This is it. Is it the majority of it clickbait again? I mean, I think they're seeing sort of the history with Everton and just putting two and two together and thinking, oh, Newcastle's there for the cherry picking. Absolutely not. These teams and these fans need to realise that we are not the pushovers that we were under Ashley, and they need to back off. How many messages do you need to get that we are not the scapegoats and we're coming for everything? We're going to win everything. Just wait.
We are. Sam, your camera's frozen, hun.
Oh, dearie me. How? Give us a minute.
No problem. Sensible Monica says Newcastle fans are interested in signing Paul for a Greg Stotty cake. Well, thank you for that, but I don't like Stotty. So there you go. I'm not a Stotty fan. Nicola, good evening. Hello, everyone. What do you think of the Eddie Howe out fans? I know our away form has been poor this season, but for me, pushing for a mid-European place with all the issues we have had is a miracle. Well, Billy, you still of the opinion, actually, that if, it doesn't go right into the European places, that there will possibly be a conversation.
I think there will. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're going to have to rebuild with players potentially wanting to leave the club for higher ambitions, playing Europe next season. And if players say if our Bruno's release clause is met, we've got to find another Bruno then, to rebuild. Eddie Howe stated himself he doesn't want to start rebuilding now, with 2 years into this project, and he's got some good players there. He doesn't want to lose any of them. So if we didn't kind of qualify for Europe, I think there'll definitely be a conversation between the owners and Eddie Howe as to what they expect next season, whether they say it's not good enough this season that we haven't qualified for Europe and sack him. tend to think that probably wouldn't happen, but I think that would definitely be a conversation had.
Well, Kath, good evening to you as well. Lovely lady is Kath. She always gives me a hug when I see her at the games. She's always limping away. She was on crutches last time I seen it. Oh, well, she had a big pot on her leg, and I hope you're well, Kath. Next season is ours. Anyone going down to Man United on Wednesday and fancy a pint? Well, I know Tom's going, Ian, so Tom's definitely going to the game. Let's have a look. Sophia, good evening. There's more leaks in their dressing room than there was from that roof. Well, I thought they stifled Arsenal a bit, to be honest, yesterday. I thought that the game plan was right. They just didn't have the players to keep it going. But then again, I mean, we said this last night, Arsenal probably had another gear to go up very, very quickly, but they didn't really need to. But listen, it's going to be a huge game. Jens, thank you for your super chat. I hope City win because of Pep. He likes our fans. And I like Pep, to be honest. I think Pep's a great manager. He very rarely speaks stupidly or goes off on one. He normally holds his own. But Paul, wrong question in Paul. Why have I got the? Hang on a minute.
Read it out.
Would you want the Toon to lose if it meant Sunderland winning the league?
Not winning the league, you should have put.
No. Would you want the Toon to lose if it meant Sunderland winning the league? So if we lose, Sunderland win the league.
Not.
No, not win the league. We're kind of saying we wouldn't mind us losing if Sunderland, the team we were playing with, were fighting with Sunderland for the title, and if we lost to them, it stopped Sunderland winning it.
He's a bastard. I took the poll down. We'll start the poll again.
Goodness me.
Welcome
back, Sam.
Honestly.
Is jet lag contagious?
No,
I'm on better form than he is.
I've got sunstroke, right? So lay off. Would you want the Toon to lose if it meant Sunderland not winning the league? I don't see anything wrong with that question. Sam's got problems with her camera tonight. Just
maybe that jet lagged as well.
Right. Would you want the Toon to lose if it meant Sunderland not winning the league?
There you go. Right. Revote, folks. Revote.
There you go. The poll is back up. Get voting again. Sorry to all those that did vote, but it's Billy and Sam's fault. Right. Let's take a look. We've got a couple of super chats coming there where we're putting that right. Channel Right, thank you for your super chat. Channel Right says, I don't mind rivalry, but throwing a game would be plain weird and unsporting. FX Pro, thank you for your super chat. Tell me it was the wrong question. Roblox, thank you for your super chat. Hi, Paul. What if you could get Man United relegated by losing? No. You can chant all you want. No way. Nicola, welcome to Members Club as well. Thank you for your support and signing up. Good to have you. Garant says, want the Stars to stay, but any player has a price. Unfortunately, it's going to take an astronomical fee. Well, I've seen somebody actually comment in my earlier video, Billy, and actually say that he would sell all three of Gordon, Isak, and Bruno. And he gave the prices that he would want for them. And then said we could probably build a title-winning side with the money that we received. I mean, I'm not sure what to make of that. I mean, yes, we'd get a lot of money, but it's not as easy. You can have all the money in the world, but you've got to get the right players, and it's not easy.
It's easy to sell players. It's pretty difficult buying the right ones, isn't it? To sell three world-class players like that. I'm saying world-class. Obviously, Bruno is, and Isak potentially is, and Gordon potentially is. But sell players of that ilk, and then replace them in one window, and all to be a success like them three are. Yeah, it's a massive, massive gamble in my opinion. I don't think you do it. I don't think you could do it. I really don't. It took us 2 years to do it, so why would it take us one window to do it?
Right, I've taken that poll down because I've spelt league wrong, and it makes me look stupid. It's not going. It's not going well. Dear me. Oh,
put title instead.
Would you want the Toon to lose if it meant Sunderland.
I've been and fixed a camera. Are we still doing this?
Well, I did put the poll up, Sam, but I spelt league wrong, so I'm having to do it again so I don't look stupid. Okay. I could have said one of you two typed it, but I won't be that mean. Would you want the Toon to lose if it meant Sunderland not winning the league? Right, I've spelled it right this time. Right, Boogie is right for the third time tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The poll is now up. Get voting, because I genuinely do want to know what you guys think. So we've got it right this time. Ian says, great hair today, Lady Sam. TTR, is it windy round your end?
The bigger the hair, the closer to God.
Well, I've never heard that before, but fair enough.
I ain't religious.
New Jersey Geordie says, fans in America of teams who aren't competing for the title want their teams to lose so they get a better pick in the college draft. I hate it. Man, you only get their chances per year to watch your team. Listen, the way it works in America is the fact that there's no relegation. And the sport I follow in America, everybody knows, is the NHL, right? And they play in conferences and then sort of break it down into divisions, but there is no relegation. And the weird thing is, I know it's done in kind of a poll now as to who gets the best draft coming through for that year. God almighty, that Pepsi's gassy. Whoever's coming through for the following year, the top pick, shall we say, that gets to be one of the teams that were really shit the season before. So, they get the top pick. It doesn't work for me, and I'd hate to see that in football, to be honest. I really would. But you Americans, you've got a strange way of doing it. Steve says, we will win everything, Paul. I'm 57 and we've won out. We are not entitled to anything. You have to earn it. Yes, but Amanda will earn it and the team will earn it. I mean, God, if we win something, you can't say we haven't earned it. We will be that team. We will. God damn it.
5 years of
hurt.
What's the word for it? Hurt, yeah.
Pain.
100%.
Whatever you want to say. Nicholas says, I'd be very surprised if any of our top players leave. They seem happy here and they know we're working towards something great. Well, it's the same as this Tossin from Fulham. He's apparently now going to be coming in with Lloyd Kelly, Sam. And he said that he's been quoted as saying that he really is excited by the Newcastle United project.
Yeah, and how fabulous is that? I know that it was one of Billy's picks when I was playing Samanda Stavely as well in our great team rebuild. Go and catch the show if you haven't seen it, because it was really awesome, actually. And yeah, he looks like a fantastic player. These people who are probably saying that they don't want him, we should be aiming for marquee players. In my opinion, we also need to be realistic and we need to be frugal in places. And I think both Tossin and Kelly are going to be great signings for squad depth and rotation. Why wouldn't we take them? And the fact that these are players who are excited to join us, they believe in the project, they believe in the hope, they believe we're going places, which is amazing. So yeah, come on down, fill out the squad.
Yeah. Now, of course, as well, Billy, Michael Elisa is, mentioned this in the news show earlier on. His transfer, his clause. Is not. It was quoted at 60 million last week, but apparently, Craig Hope said that today that's not the case. It's actually lower than that. It was initially 35 million pounds, but he signed a new deal with them last year, which has effectively put his release clause up. But according to the media, it's not 60 million. It was first thought around everywhere. But James Morrison's just made a super chat as well. Thank you, James. Saying that Romano now saying that Benjamin Sesko's his release clause is now round about 65 million pounds because of his form. So would you still take him at 65? Because I believe it was around 45 originally thought.
No, I think that's a bit steep, if I'm perfectly honest. I was happy at 45 million, but not 65, because it kind of hinders us with the rest of the transfers that we need, isn't it? And if we're going to pull Elise in at 50 odd million, we're going to say it's not 60, it was 35, so somewhere between 50 million. I think that's a good price for Elise, but again, we wouldn't be the only people after him, would we? Absolutely no doubt. But the fact that we've been able to get Tosin, and when Man United wanted him, and lots of other clubs, Spurs and people like that, and it seems like we've kind of took the lead and he wants to come to us. That's a good sign. I think I'd want Elise though, definitely.
Well, we seem to have started a domestic in Laura's house. The hubby says yes, I'd want them to lose, and Laura says no. So keep fighting, keep fighting the good fight, Laura. That's what I'll say. Ian Bell, my former work colleague. Good evening, mate. Hope you're well. If fans are not screaming, get whoever out, then who gives the stuff? Don't fix anything that is not broke. We have a class squad. Great show, Paul, mate. Thank you very much. I mean, I'm seeing less of the Eddie Howe out. I must admit, I'm not seeing as much lately. But Billy made a point yesterday, Sam, of saying, somebody asked the question of where is Billy's stance now, with Eddie Howe. And Billy turned around and said, look, if we don't get a European place, then he still thinks there will be a conversation about possibly changing the manager. So where do you sit on it? Do you sit on, are you definitely thinking Eddie will be here next season, or do you think there's a possibility that, like Billy says, if they don't get to Europe, then there could be a conversation?
I think there'll be a conversation anyway, because we have shrewd business owners. We're not in this for Newcastle's best friend race. This is about how are we going to achieve the highest levels of greatness in football. So conversations need to be had, but let's look at this logically. We've been plagued by uncharacteristic injuries. We've had arguably the worst injuries in all of the league this season. I would be very disappointed if he didn't get another season to put things right. We've seen him develop talent. We've seen him change focus, change people around. Yes, he has learning to do, but people sometimes have short memories. Look at where we were last season, and arguably, would we be there if we hadn't had the injuries that we've had? I think so. So my opinion is he gets an extra season, but he's an employee. Conversations still need to happen.
Have you watched the overlap interview with him yet, Sam, that he did with Gary Neville?
I have not seen that yet, no.
I would say go and watch it, because it's brilliant. And if you don't love Eddie Howe now, you will love him after that. It's the man just oozes class, oozes work ethic, and it's a brilliant interview. So it's on YouTube. You can go and watch that. But it is tremendous. I feel in safe hands with Eddie Howe, and he doesn't always get it right. And we've called him out on it a number of times this season for not getting it right. But that doesn't mean that I want Eddie Howe out. I'll call out mistakes, or what I think of mistakes as a fan. We're entitled to do that. We're fans of the football club. Of course we can. However, I want him here next season, and I want him performance. And I want him to win.
If Nick Pope had a dislocated shoulder, I think we'd be fifth, and maybe even fourth at this precise moment in time.
I agree.
I honestly believe that. And I'm kind of upset even more now with, the time when he took Bruno off at Chelsea when we were 3-1 down with 15 minutes to go. And then we scored another goal and kind of put the white flag out. I was kind of really upset with that. And if Chelsea do pip us, I know it's hypothetical. We don't know what would have happened, but still, it doesn't sit right with me, I've got to say. So even now. There was obviously that moment during match day live, Billy, which you said, I'm done. Because there was times where you would scratch your head and you think, well, what's he doing that for? Is there any reason he's doing that? But I guess in Eddie's own head, he's done what he thought was right at the time, and he may look back at certain decisions this season and go, yeah, I got that kind of wrong. But look, this season's been a one that I don't think Eddie Howe could have predicted with injuries. Shane Martin, thank you for your super chat. Could or would Eddie turn down England when they call? Sam?
I think he's probably still too juvenile to take it. We've seen the amount of lessons learned this season. Can you imagine that on a international stage for England? That's a lot of responsibility, a big job. I think he probably needs some more time under his belt. But could I see it in his future? Definitely. I would 100% back that. Until we get a trophy, though, he can wait for it.
I think he'd get bored being England manager. I'm watching that interview.
I agree, Billy.
100%. It's kind of football's in his head 24/7, isn't it? And to do a job once every 6 weeks, I don't think would sit right with him.
Well, that's the thing, because, as Sam will see when she watches that interview, he is so into his job. I think he would miss the day-to-day of training, and all he'd be doing in between sort of England games, he'd be travelling around watching the England squad. I mean, that's not what Eddie Howe's about. Eddie Howe is, you see what he's like. And sort of the England job for me is a much later in career job, when you're not wanting the full day-to-day running. You're not wanting to be in training every day. You want to cuddle up to your wife's wrinkly old baps on the morning and just not think about football. You just want to be a part-time manager, I guess. I know that's probably just sort of overstating or making fun of the England job, but you know what I mean. Eddie's not that type of guy. He's the type of guy that wakes up on a morning, he's in at 6:30, he's away, and it's just not, it wouldn't be the same. And I agree, Sam. I think he's too young. I generally think that that's how he would look at it. I don't think he'd want to take the England job right now in his career. I think he's fully behind the project at Newcastle. And I genuinely believe he thinks that it's not too far away of winning a trophy. And he knows that if he wins a trophy as Newcastle United manager, he will be a god up here for forever.
Mm. I mean, listen to that interview. I don't think it might not ever be suited to be England manager because of the way he thinks about the game. I won't spoil it for Sam, but you get a real good kind of intake into what he's actually thinking about and what he's thinking about most of the time in his life, not just in football, but basically everything's football, isn't it?
Mm. James says we need to set an example of being a stable club. Don't want to turn into a Chelsea or Man United managerial merry-go-round. Ideally, we would have been happy if the 2 last seasons had been reversed. That's actually a good point. When he first took over, if we'd finished 6th and then we got into the Champions League this season in reverse, it would have been completely different, wouldn't it? But I think, we as fans, obviously we see us finish 4th last season and suddenly we think, right, yeah, the process has taken half the time or no time at all to start going, really, and being in the position that we were. But now I think we have to be a bit more realistic. The expectations from a lot of fans, top 4 again, we'll give the Champions League a good run, we'll do well in the league. But I suppose, Sam, that, injuries apart, if they hadn't happened, I would have loved to have seen where we've been with a fully fit squad this season.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with what Billy said. I think Pope would have changed everything for us this season. I like that we had that increase. I like that we went straight out the gates and had the performance that we did last season. I have no doubt that we would have seen a mirrored image of that this season as well if it hadn't have been for those been plagued with injuries. It's got me scratching my head, really. I don't think we've seen any news on that inquiry into the medical staff either. I really hope that we have someone independent coming in for that and that we're not just marking our own homework, because we are going to be in the same position if that's the case. I do think there's also elements where we need to be really mindful of what the manager's influence is on those decisions, because if it was me, I believe that Eddie should have been telling his players and using some influencing skills to say it's better for the team, it's better for you and for your career to have the operation now, not pushing them and thrusting them back on the field to try and save a season.
Yeah, good point. Couple of super chats just coming there. Ian Toon Trader, thank you for yours. Cuddle up to your wife's wrinkly old bats gets a super chat. Thank you very much. Roblox, thank you for another super chat. And that one basically says, okay, so we sell all 3 in 3 or 4 hot marquees and start winning everything again. How long before we sell them as well? It's all a load of rubbish. We're not a selling club anymore, Roblox. That's exactly the point. We're just not. Right, let's see the results of this first poll eventually. Scott Penrose, thank you for your super chat. He says midstream Eddie outers are ridiculous. Right. So the question was, would you want the Toon to lose if it meant Sunderland not winning the league? So 44% said yes, they would want the Toon to lose. See, is that 44% wanted the Toon to lose? if Sunderland not winning the league? You've made me change my question. It doesn't make right. Sorry, I don't care anymore. The poll's ended. I don't give a damn.
44% want Toon to lose to stop Sunderland winning the league, basically.
Oh, take it as you want. Right, fair enough.
Well, that was an informative exercise. Thanks.
It was pretty damn pointless, to be honest. Anyway, I'm going to do another poll.
The poll is: should Paul do polls? Yes or maybe yes.
Sam, I've missed you. The next poll is simply just to get your judgment on where we are with Eddie Howe. So, are you happy with Eddie? Yes or no? Pretty straightforward, that one. So that is now pinned up there. So please do get voting now. I just want to see where the fan base is with Eddie. I'd be staggered if a lot of people said no, but you never know. Mary, thank you for your super chat. That's really kind. With success comes the price. You pay for that success. And I'm sure Eddie Howe is learning what price is. But also, do the owners share their vision and not be going in a progressive direction? Could be interesting. So basically what Mary's saying there is everybody on the same hymn sheet. And I got from that interview, Billy, that they are, because Eddie even said now that at first he wasn't particularly, involved a lot in bringing players in and stuff like that, but now he is.
Well, he has to be, because we have no director of football at this precise moment in time. So
that is a very good point, yes.
That's why. I think he's going to have a bigger input into who is the next director of football as well, it seemed. I'm not sure him and Ashworth were on the same hymn sheet, if I'm perfectly honest. And we saw that with how he kind of handled Lewis Hall earlier in the season. It was pretty obvious that Lewis Hall was a Dan Ashworth signing. So I'm not sure them two got on. And when he left, he was kind of dismissive of him as well, wasn't he? So this time I think he's going to choose his own man, and then we'll have a bit of unity, and then they can kind of agree on who we sign, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, Sam, it's looking more and more like it could be Dougie Friedman coming in. Obviously, we haven't had your thoughts on that yet. I mean, for me, I think it's a good appointment if it is going to be Dougie Friedman. You look at what he's done at Palace, the players that he's located and brought into Crystal Palace. You look at Elise, you look at Eze, two standout footballers. Obviously, Anderson, the centre back, he's a very, very good player as well. He was linked with us. So for me, Dougie Friedman's got a great quality of identifying EFL players, which gives me the thought that he can identify players in Europe as well as EFL. It doesn't matter. What's your take on it?
Yeah, and I think that's absolutely an important quality to have. He probably doesn't get the sort of spotlight that he should, maybe because of the start of Crystal Palace's season. I think we can all agree that was definitely more down to a lackluster manager rather than anything else. Obviously, Mitchell would have been my top choice. I would have said the ownership would have liked that appointment as well, because he's got multi-club experience. However, I think he would get on really well with Eddie. I think they would have the same mentality, the same mindset, the same sort of character qualities and traits as well. So I can only commend him on the players that he's brought into Crystal Palace, and look how succinct they are now. They're doing a fantastic job. So yeah, let's move on from Dan and get Dougie in.
Well, Billy, Sam mentions Mitchell there, and he seems to we did that show on him, and everybody, including me, was saying, when Stato told us what he was all about, what he's done, and he seemed the perfect man for the job, but he was never really mentioned in the reckoning by Newcastle United. We heard about Maldini a few weeks ago, and then suddenly Dougie Friedman, and then Newcastle basically saying we're down to two, and it was Friedman and somebody else who we'd never even covered.
No, that's right. Can't think what his name is now, but
it's gone.
The fellow that was at Leipzig, isn't it? The Red Bull fellow, isn't it? Was it Leipzig? I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah.
777. Their man, wasn't he? Is it Suarez or something like that?
Something.
Suarez or something like that. Yeah, I mean, Paul Mitchell, I think they're looking for someone that comes in and is going to be there for a while, and that's why they're so kind of pissed off that Dan Ashworth has done what he's done. And Paul Mitchell's a 2-year man. He does 2 years everywhere he's been. So I think they want someone in for the long term, and that's where Paul Mitchell's kind of fell down, because his history tells us that a couple of seasons and he's away. So I think that's the main reason why Paul Mitchell wasn't mentioned so much.
Yeah. Chippers, thank you for your super chats. Oh dear. Why would England want Howe when they can have Paul Gallant? I mean, Chippers, you've just wasted £10 on a super chat to write that. Honestly, can you not?
Good crack, though.
Hey, I tell you, unbelievable. How will be looked back in this? How will be backed in the summer? Get his players rested and pre-season. Get Tonali back, etc. He will have everything he needs to succeed. I mean, that's one player I'm really looking forward to, Sam.
Oh man. I know. I'm so elated that we've actually got an end in sight with this one as well. It feels so prolonged. It's felt quite unfair when I think we all collectively understand that this is an illness which is clearly been managed through. He's taken the right steps in it. You know, had this actually happened in the UK Premier League, the punishment wouldn't have been anywhere near as harsh as it has been for because he's been caught by AC Milan. So I can't wait to see what that midfield looks like. It's going to be really exciting times. I'm feeling a lot more hope and optimism, actually. Like, I just think that we need to get the right signings in for summer, and I really believe that we're going to be contenders.
Good point there by Jules, Billy. The only thing at the moment is Howe doesn't play the youth. He puts on geriatric players like Richie and Paul the Wrestler Dummett instead. Some people would argue back and say, well, he's certainly given Miley an opportunity this season, but would he have got the opportunity had we not had the injuries and suspensions? He's brought Lewis Hall in, but he kept Lewis Hall out an awful long time. He's brought Livramento in, but that's not a academy player. He has given Alex Murphy time on the bench, who incidentally has now signed a new contract. And Eddie Howe said that he's definitely one for the his progression this season has been unbelievable. And I think we're going to see Alex Murphy around the first team for quite a while. But do you agree with Truls on that?
Yeah, I do. I do agree. I think he should have used more of the youth when we had the injuries and the games together that we had. The Everton, Spurs, Milan game. One of the games he should definitely have rotated a few players. And if he had to bring youth players in, so be it. I mean, we lost all 3 games, so what difference would it make? Literally, it didn't make anything, didn't it? It would have given us more chance in 1 or 2 of the games if we'd have rotated a little bit. And even if they didn't win the game, we've not lost anything. So yeah, I think he hasn't looked at the big picture. I think he's kind of took every game literally as it came and played the same team. I think he's made mistakes. I think he will learn by that. But I think he's only used the youth because he's had to, really.
Yeah.
Even with Lewis Hall, it was only a case of Botman getting injured. They've got Lewis Hall in the team.
That's very true. Kath is telling me off. Will you stop it with these polls, man? I've got a Z flip and have to change from full screen to half screen to vote. And I miss what you're all saying until I come back to full screen. Kath, listen, I know the eyes aren't what they were, love, but, don't worry about it. Don't worry. Ian says, my worry is we get too complacent and take the foot off the gas too often. I mean, you could say that some games we've been complacent. You look to the Luton game, Sam. You look at the Forest game. You look at Bournemouth at home. And even this one gone against Brighton. Were we complacent?
Yes.
Have we? Is that the problem? And where does that lie? Is that the manager or is that the players' mentality?
I think for me, it's got to be a bit of both. I mean, the head is heaviest that wears the crown. It's got to mostly fall on Eddie to make sure that the players are in the right positions and they're happy and comfortable. I think we've struggled to get out the gates for a good few weeks now, and let players settle into the game, and that will cost us. That will continue to hurt us. It seems that we always need to sort of get punished before we start kicking it into the next gear, which is a real shame. So yeah, I think it is a strange mentality that I've been seeing. I don't like it when we're slow to start. I think it makes us more vulnerable for attack and ultimately for losses.
Tristan, I just want to call you up. Newcastle did say they were down to the last 2. That came from the club. That was reported by the club to the media. So, listen, I'm not bothered. I just want Newcastle to announce who was going to be director of football. End of story. We can talk till the cows come home about where the stories are coming from, etc. But it doesn't really matter. We just need a bloody director of football, and hopefully we'll have one in for when that. It's all about, for me, Billy, getting one in before the transfer window begins.
100%, yeah. And then whoever it is has got to come in and hit the ground running. I still think they're waiting for some money from Manchester United. I think that's been the biggest issue of it. Paying for two at once, because he's still on garden leave, still getting his wage. I think Man United are kind of hoping that we get one, so we have to get rid of him cheaply. I think there's a bit of brinksmanship going on with the Dan Ashworth thing.
Interesting. Right, let's get the results of this poll, shall we? I asked you, are you happy with Eddie? And a resounding 94% said yes, we are happy with Eddie Howe, and 6% said no. I'd like to know why, or who the 6% were, and maybe put in the chat why you're not happy with Eddie as manager next season. I'm well and truly on the Eddie train. I don't want Eddie going anywhere. I think he can be a legend at this club. James Taylor says, if you listen to Pep, he says every game will be a difficult challenge and his players must look at it like that and don't take any team for fools. That's the winning mentality. It is, undoubtedly. And the thing is, I've said many, many times that, I'm in the opinion that these players should not need motivating to go out there and play for Newcastle United. I mean, we as fans, we would go out there and play for free. We would go out there and give blood, guts and thunder for free because we're Newcastle fans. However, these guys are professional footballers, and what we want to see from our team is that when they pull on that black and white shirt in the dressing room, they are now playing for the club, for the badge, and for the fans, right? So I don't think you should have any motivation from the manager to go out and give it your all. I know that's not the case because some players don't look at it like that. But I really genuinely think, Sam, when they put that shirt on, they shouldn't need any motivation.
Well, they're in a very fortunate position where they're, in this elite group of people who get to be athletes and live out the dreams. So I appreciate your mindset. I think playing devil's advocate, and trust me, this is from somebody who does not do physical sports herself. I find it really interesting to think about marginal gains, as in, what are they doing individually? We saw that really interesting piece from Anthony Gordon about what he actually does, what the difference is, what's going to be the game changer for people individually. And I think it's a really interesting argument that we say they shouldn't need gearing up, but does it actually become white noise if they're so motivated all of the time? Are you always chasing the dragon for that next hit of motivation almost? What is it going to take? If you're not going to fight for the badge that you're wearing, then what's the point? Then stuff off and move on. Or is it an element that training's too much? Is the schedule too much? Something's just been off with them this season, especially the last few games that I've watched.
It's a good point, Billy.
I think it's when you have 3 games close together, a lot of it is mental. And you get yourself up for one game and you play the Thursday. Let's say the Everton game, for instance. So had we won that game, we were all keyed up. Say we're all keyed up for it, win the game, and then there's a natural down after that. It has to be. And if you're playing 2 days later, you're playing with a down on you. It's hard to kind of get back up for another game so quick. So it's a kind of balancing act, really, isn't it? You've got to try and players don't need motivating. I watched strangely enough a Glenn Hoddle interview the other day, and he said, "I never need motivating as a player. I never needed it. I was there for the badge of the club or the country. Didn't need motivating from the manager. And when I was England manager, if I had to motivate somebody, then they shouldn't have been in the squad, and therefore they weren't again. I think he was talking about Laetitia then. But yeah, I mean, professional footballers shouldn't need motivating.
I agree. Well, I agree. Tristan talking about the guy from 777 group. I'm like you. I want the top DOF who finds us cheap gems. Yeah, exactly. And I think if we're looking for gems, I think Friedman is the way to go. If I'm being openly honest, given what he's done for Palace, and if you look at somebody mentioned Will Saha's comments about Friedman, saying that the players absolutely loved him. He was always around, talking to the players and helping them. And a director of football can be all sorts of things at a football club. You know, he's got to have the quality to negotiate, to look at key players and look at the ability and potential of these players. Have they got what it takes to play for a football club? And there's also, being around for the players when they're at the football club. So a director of football, it's a huge job. And, if former players are saying, he was an excellent guy to go to. He was very open and honest with you. You could go to him. You could go. He was very much a director of football, and that's what you love to hear. And that's something that you want at your football club. You don't want a guy who just sits in an office on the phone all day negotiating. You want a guy who's going to be around the football club, who's going to be there for the players, not just bringing them in, but being there for them when they're at the football club. And that takes a little bit off the manager's shoulders as well, Billy.
100%. Yeah, 100%. They've all got to be singing from the same hymn sheet, first and foremostly. But if the manager's making mistakes, the director of football has to be big enough to say, I think you're doing this wrong. Can you can you take what I'm saying on board, etc., etc. But I just want to make another point, actually, and it's about mentality. How many times this season have we conceded late goals that have cost us? Didn't happen last season at all, did it?
Yeah.
This season, Liverpool, home, West Ham, away, Paris Saint-Germain. I know it's a dodgy goal, but happened there. Milan. I think Wolves away, we conceded late as well. And the West Ham and the Wolves ones cost us 4 points. So, with that mentality of closing games out, would have been high up the league again. So that's another thing to take into consideration.
Right. Well, we've got a couple of minutes left in the show. Please do hit the thumbs up, guys. We really need your likes. I know we keep banging on about it, but it really does help the channel. So just take a second now just to hit that thumbs up button underneath us. We'd really, really appreciate that. We need all the likes we can get if we're to continue to grow the channel, because the likes make the YouTube algorithm realize that something special is happening on this channel, and it puts us up there in the search results so fellow fans like yourselves can find us. So it's really, really important. I know you get sick of me banging on about it, but, it's my child. It's my little baby, and I want it to grow into a big, strong man or woman. Doesn't matter. The Toon Review can be a he or she. Who gives a shit? I'm only stating the point, Sam. I'm not.
Get back on script, man.
I'm not. I don't have a script. I think you know that by now.
Maybe you should.
Hey!
I'm kidding. I love it. I love off script.
Well, that's the thing. If I didn't know you were kidding, Sam, I'd be seriously offended. Anyway, what I wanted to...
stage right. Oh shit, that's not script.
What I want to show you guys actually is before we go, I found this quite interesting on social media. I've got the league table here from game week 29. Okay, so there you go. That's the league table after game week 29, and look where we are.
Yeah, 11th, yeah.
Yeah. And what are we? 9 points behind or 10 points behind Manchester United. Okay. Now, I'll change that now to game week 36, which is the one just gone. Now, that's incredible.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, let's take our hat off to Eddie and the players here, because that is some meteoric rise up the table in the space of what? 7 weeks? 7 game weeks. That is a massive rise up the league. And look, that just says to me that we've begun to get players back. We've played some lovely football in that time, rising back up the league. Yeah, we've had a couple of little blips, no doubt about it, during that time. But 10 points off Man United, you would have never have thought that by game week 36 would be ahead of them. And I think that just says how well we've done, considering the problems that we've had, certainly around Christmas time. And the thing is, Billy, Eddie made reference to Christmas time in his interview with Gary Neville, of course, and said what a difficult time that was for everybody. And he didn't just say the players; he said for him and the coaching staff as well. They found it very, very difficult.
Well, yeah, because it's not just a case of the injuries, but it was the fact we were playing 3 times a week to get the games in. We've got 5 in the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, which kind of made us play 2 or 3 times a week with the injuries as well. So the players were getting fatigued because we had a short squad, and it was catch-22. All of it kind of added together. And since we've been knocked out of the Cups and we've got the players back, it's no coincidence that we're now rising up the table at a massive rate of knots. Unfortunately, it's come a little bit too late, I think, for us to finish 5th. But I think if, as I said earlier, if just one of those players, if Nick Pope or even Joe Linton had remained fit, would have been 5th, 4th, and if both of them would have stayed fit and one or two others, I think would have been challenging for the top 3 again.
I mean, Nick Pope was the one, Sam, wasn't it? I mean, we look at Dubravka's performances and we think, had Nick Pope been there, that for me was one of the major injuries this season.
Are you all right, Billy?
Well, I don't think
it's
it
been
was
the most fantastic own goal Liverpool have scored at Villa. Martinez has made an absolute.
Oh well,
we're only 1 minute in.
Oh dear. Anyway, Sam, Nick Pope.
Nick, oh yeah, that was the one, right? Yeah, 100%. I was, it felt like it really hurt when Pope went. I thought he was fantastic, and don't get me wrong, like Dubravka's got better distribution than I would say, but overall, far superior in terms of a goalkeeper is Nick Pope, and that's what we need. Billy, you are distracting me. Just tell us what's happening.
It's Martinez who's parried the ball into his own net.
Right.
Oh dear. I've got no sympathy for Martinez because
I think it's hilarious.
He's an arrogant mofo.
He hits him in the chin. He tried to stop it. He's pushed it back in his own net. It's a real power. It's fantastic. One of the funniest goals you'll see all season.
Well, I can't wait to see it. Could
Pope have stopped it? Because that's
Martin Dubravka could have stopped it with both hands behind his back.
Oh, that's saying something. That is saying something. Anyway, there you go, guys. That is the show done and dusted. Over 1,100 people watching tonight. I cannot believe it. It's astounding. Thank you so much. Please do like the show. And, of course, if you're new, please come and subscribe. Newcastle United, obviously, channel, but we cover football as well. We've got a lot coming up after the season has ended. Of course, we'll be covering the Euros on this channel as well. Lots of match day lives coming up, so you will not miss a thing on here. Transfer shows. And, of course, at the end of August, we have the full day stream again for transfer deadline day, which... I mean, Billy's ass still hasn't recovered from the last one. And if you're new to the channel, please go back and watch the last one. It doesn't mean reference to anything but the fact that he was sitting in a chair all day. But thank you very much for watching. Thank you for all your super chats, new memberships, etc. Mods, thank you. Billy and Sam, thank you very much. And, of course, to you guys out there, you've been absolute legends tonight. Thank you for joining in the conversation. It's been a great show as well. Despite my fact that I can't type properly tonight. But I blame that on the sunburn. But anyway, we'll be back tomorrow. Live show, 7 o'clock. It's the match preview for the big one. Newcastle travel to, very old Trafford as it's fallen down. But it should be a great game. And then, of course, Match Day Live Wednesday night. You'll not miss a thing on the Toon Review. The very best place for your Newcastle United commentary, bar none. But thank you very much for watching. Enjoy the rest of your Monday night. Good night.
Niagara Trafford, here we come.
Come back and check on some breathing.